Hi, welcome back. I am Michelle Simons, and this is Erin Newman, and we are here talking about, from one church, we're talking about unity. This is the third part of our series. The first one we talked about our backgrounds and why we would get into all of this, and the second was talking about our definition of what it really means to be unified. And this time we're going to be talking about the stickiness of insecurities and challenges of being in unity with one another. One of the things I wanted to start off by saying was that my greatest difficulty with working with people is when there's rigid thinking. The rigid thinking, I think, is always the hardest thing to manage, and it's like trying to squish a rigid box through a circle. Like the square in there, and all of this sharp edges get stuck. And I remember when my husband and I were first married, we had this little basement apartment, and we actually had to get a foam mattress because a normal mattress wouldn't fit down the stairs, and it was like, and then we've been sleeping on that mattress ever since. But I just remember needing flexibility. It's a good picture of needing flexibility. And so when you have that lack of flexibility, you think, well, that's a bit of an issue. And so when I can see people coming from very different backgrounds, or maybe even rigid backgrounds, but are willing to wade into the water of differences, they'll be like, I've never really experienced any of the Holy Spirit manifestations before, and it's like, okay. And then they go, yeah, it's in the Bible. And so they wade into it. And one of my favorite things is seeing the expression on people's faces is when they're trying something different. Maybe they're trying some different food. Maybe they're trying some different kind of movie or a different kind of experience. They've gone to a different place, different country. They've experienced something they've never have, and seeing that look on their face where they're like, oh, it's okay. All right, I like it, maybe not, like that, but they tried.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's that tension. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when people can get and be willing to go through the portal and expand themselves,
Mm-hmm.
just like my mattress.
And yeah, no, that's good. And you brought up in the last video about confidence. So I think when you're dealing with insecurities, and the reason why we talk about it from like being insecure is, our security really comes from what you know. Security comes from you can trust something, but when you go into a new space, is it going to be secure? Is it not going to be secure? And so that's where that confidence is important. That's where that I really believe that when we love and care for one another, that helps to melt that down. And so for myself, one of the things that I've always challenged myself to do is to say, I want to be in your corner as a child of God. And I tell myself that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't matter who it is that I'm having that discussion with. If you're a child of God and I care for you, even if, let's just say, there is a difference,
Yeah.
I could, and a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm doing a better thing by not engaging with that person because we don't see eye to eye. And so it's just going to cause a fight. That's not love either, because you're just avoiding a conflictual situation. But when we say to ourselves, I actually care about that person, therefore I'm invested in them.
Yeah.
You find yourself in places that involve being with them, which might look different than what you're used to feeling.
Yeah.
So like when there is multi-church type activities that are going on, being a part of that and connecting with those people is critical. Or maybe they have something that they're trying to do in the community, and instead of just kind of sitting on the sideline throwing stones at them, or trying to avoid them like the plague, saying, hey, you know what, is there something that I can help you with, even though you might not feel the best on the inside, or you feel like you should do that. Having that love and that care is the first step. And so I find when we take that approach, it's that trust, it's that relationship, it's that bond that we establish with one another that I feel like melts the problems that come along with having to step out into something like all of those feelings you talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes as a result of saying to ourselves, I love you. I care about you. And that's the beautiful thing of it. Like, I have a definition of what I feel like I understand, you know, I understand my faith to be. Like, I'm on a plan, and I try to, you know, stay on reading my Bible once a year. So I'm deep in the Word, man, and I try hard. But it's like I'm learning so much all the time, every single day. And in that process of learning and in that process of discovery, it's like those people that I have that dialogue with that I don't see eye to eye on, I'm wanting to be in their boat because there's something that I can actually help them with.
Yeah.
And sometimes God allows an opportunity where you might understand a truth that they don't understand. And instead of throwing a stone at that person, you're getting in their boat and you're actually getting them to have a trust with you and have a care for you and for one another. And you're able to build them up as a person. You're able to help them be somebody who can move down, you know, move in clearly down the waters and avoid a crash. And that's caring about them.
You can go someplace together.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, you know, everybody paddling on the same side of the boat. You say, hey, you know what? I think differently. You know, why don't I paddle from the other side, and when you're paddling from the opposite sides, there's a good analogy.
That's a very good analogy.
We're gonna go someplace together.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, and it's certainly not all. It's not easy. There is a lot of challenges. You know, you're just like, oh, we should just work together.
Yeah.
In the first video,
get that square into that circle hole. Push it hard. It's gonna work.
One of the things that I loved, and I said this in the first video, was different people from different backgrounds coming together for a common cause. Because I worked in Christian social ministries. You worked in social services in the secular, and you would find Christians, whereas I actually worked with Christians in social service / ministries. And it's a little bit different because you've got all these different Christians coming for a common cause. But there is some times where I have found the common cause was not enough. And I don't mean necessarily with Christians, but the common cause of, say, for example, hunger or homelessness is that some people would come at it from a point of compassion and other people would come at it from a point of pity. Or if you think about drug addiction, some people would say, what's the goal here? Sobriety. And other people would say, management. There's differences between those two things, but sometimes the common cause, but underneath it, the goal was not the same. And so having to navigate what's not on the surface can be very, very tricky. And also presenting yourselves and learning mutual respect and expressing mutual respect, then those differences are not butting heads up against one another. That I think that's a really, really good way of thinking about it. Back in the 1920s, I was working in Toronto City Mission, and it was a really, really new thing to offer clean needles to addicts. And so I remember the very, very new days, and I remember the debate and the tension between, are you enabling or are you keeping people safe? Okay, and so that has changed over the years, but I remember coming to this point of going, I think there's a time and a place for just about everything. Maybe not everything. But I learned to have more of an open mind and more of a grace instead of a black and white, right and wrong, where you're not deluding yourself and you're sticking with your own convictions, you're sticking with your own, what the Lord has called you to do. But there's also that grace and flexibility to allow other people a place at the table because they bring something unique. But it does take a lot of duck oil. It takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of grace. It's hard. It is
Yeah.
hard.
And the point that I would like to make just in closing with this is you should challenge yourself. I'm going to speak to you here. You should challenge yourself to get involved with people that aren't like you.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, Michelle, a lot of times is like my personality is I'm you might think, oh wow, this guy can really just open up and be, you know, casual with everything and have all these relationships, you know, in a healthy way. It's like, no, I can't. I'm a very much like a bull, and I'm locked on. My wife is like, man, sometimes just getting a point across to you can be very challenging. It's because I can be very, and so I've had to learn the difference in that. But the part that's really important in what you're saying is that sometimes God puts people that are in a totally different thinking than you, because you have something for them, they have something for you, but it brings a balance to it.
Yeah.
And it helps to solidify a direction. And sometimes that direction, even if the truth marker that, let's say you're off in regards to where the whole ship is moving as a whole, jumping off ship doesn't mean that you're now you're now better spiritually.
Yeah.
Sometimes staying on that ship and saying, we need to move the ship. And I'm not the ship. This is the ship that's already moving. I'm moving, and I'm trying to shore up a problem and saying to myself, I need to be there to fix that problem. I need to show up and be a part of the solution, because this thing's going to go way out in the deep waters, and it's going to be lost permanently. And so staying on the ship is critical. And so if that's you, I'm asking you, stay on the ship, stay on course, help the people that need to stay on course. You're put in this world for a reason. If you see that there's some truth that you know deep down, and you're a part of a group that sees things different, step forward in that and help them to see it, because this might be part of the call that God has for you. It's not to say, I don't agree and now I'm jumping ship. It's that you can bring a solution to the table, be a part of the larger body and help grow the larger body. Be the piece connected to the head, and the piece that we all need.
And we're always going to find those roles. And I like what you said, the word call. And you know, I've done that before, because my heart is, I'm going to stick this out. And there's sometimes where the Lord has gone, this isn't your job.
I've had that a few times.
And so I think that's a good one, is like everything you said, is God, are you calling me to make a difference in this situation?
Right.
Or are you calling me to, because sometimes there's
you have to leave.
Sometimes there's the wipe the dust off your feet.
That's right. Yeah,
there's the wipe the dust off your feet. But I think in the end, as we tidy up these 3 series, it's having that flexibility to work with people, to be exposed to different situations, having the grace and the mercy, and having the love of connecting with people and seeing the value of being a part of a body. We're not all arms, we're not all legs, we're not all toes. And you know, like that's a scripture right there. We all there's all the different body parts. And you know, when you see somebody that misses a body part, like if they don't have an arm and they start using their feet, you think, wow, that's pretty tricky.
Yeah.
It's always, and those people without arms would say, yes, it would be better to have an arm.
Yeah. No, that's good.